Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever felt like you're banging on a door that just won't open? You've prayed, you've planned, you've worked hard, but it's like you're hitting a solid brick wall. You see the perfect job, the ideal relationship, or that big opportunity, and you just know it's meant for you. But the door stays firmly shut. It can be so frustrating, right? It can leave you feeling confused, disappointed, and maybe even a little angry at God. You start asking, God, why? Why are you closing this door when it seems so right? It's easy to get discouraged when our plans don't work out. We can start to doubt God's goodness and question His plan for our lives. We might think we've done something wrong, or that God has simply forgotten about us. This is a very common and human reaction. We want things to go a certain way on our timeline. And when they don't, the silence can be deafening. The temptation is to get bitter, to give up, or to try and force the door open ourselves. But what if I told you that a closed door isn't a rejection, but a redirection? What if God's no is actually making way for a much greater yes? Let's look at one of the most powerful stories in the Bible about closed doors. I'm talking about Paul and Silas in the book of Acts, chapter 16. These guys were doing everything right. They were preaching the gospel, healing people, and genuinely changing lives for the better. But what was their reward? They were wrongly accused, severely beaten with rods, and thrown into the innermost cell of a prison. Not just any cell, mind you, but the maximum security section. To make things worse, their feet were fastened in stocks. Talk about a closed door. Every possible escape route was sealed shut. Imagine how they must have felt. They were in excruciating physical pain, humiliated, and trapped in a dark, filthy prison. They were doing God's work, and this is where it led them. By all human logic, they had every right to be angry, to complain, to question God. They could have spent the night groaning, God, we were serving you. How could you let this happen? Where are you in all of this? They could have been filled with fear, wondering if they would even survive until morning. Their circumstances were screaming failure and hopelessness. This was the ultimate closed door. But Paul and Silas did something completely radical, something that defies all human logic. Around midnight, when the darkness was at its deepest and their pain was likely at its peak, what were they doing? Complaining? Crying? No. The Bible says they were praying and singing hymns to God. Can you picture that? In the middle of their darkest hour, bruised and bound, they chose to worship. They weren't praising God for their circumstances, but they were praising God in their circumstances. They were declaring that God was still good, still powerful, and still worthy of praise, regardless of what was happening to them. And listen to this part. And the other prisoners were listening to them. Their praise became a testimony. In that dark, hopeless place, their worship cut through the despair. It was a radical act of faith that declared their trust wasn't in their circumstances, but in their Creator. They chose to focus on who God is, not on where they were. They understood a profound spiritual principle. Praise shifts your focus from the problem to the problem solver. It elevates your perspective above the prison walls and connects you directly to the throne room of heaven. Praise is a weapon that pushes back the darkness. Then, the unthinkable happened. Acts 16, verse 26 says, "Suddenly there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all the prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose." Suddenly. It wasn't a slow process. It was a divine interruption. The very foundations of the place that held them captive were shaken. Notice what happened. Not just their door, but all the doors flew open. Not just their chains, but everyone's chains came loose. Their personal act of worship created a corporate breakthrough. This is so powerful. Paul and Silas didn't know an earthquake was coming. They weren't praising God to manipulate him into getting them out. Their praise was genuine, born out of a deep-seated trust in his sovereignty. But their praise created an atmosphere for a miracle. Praise can open doors that fear and anxiety never will. When we're stuck trying to figure everything out, wrestling with our doubts, we're essentially just staring at the closed door. But when we lift our eyes and begin to praise, we invite the power of God into our situation in a way that nothing else can. So what does this mean for us today, for that door in your life that seems permanently shut? Maybe God assigned you to that job is because he has a different company where your unique gifts will have a greater impact. Maybe his no to that relationship is because he is protecting you from future heartbreak and preparing someone who will truly align with his purpose for you. Maybe that closed door isn't a punishment, but a protection. Sometimes God closes a good door to lead us to a great one. We just can't see the whole picture from our prison cell. Our responsibility is the same as Paul and Silas's, to praise anyway. Praise in the confusion. Praise in the waiting. Praise in the disappointment. When you choose to worship in the middle of your trial, you are making one of the boldest statements of faith possible. You are saying, "God, I don't understand what you're doing, but I trust who you are. My situation doesn't change your character. You are still faithful, you are still in control, and you are still worthy of all my praise." This kind of praise does two things. First, it changes you. It lifts your spirit out of despair and fills you with a supernatural peace and strength that does not make sense to the outside world. It reminds your own soul that God is bigger than your problem. Second, it positions you for God's suddenly. It prepares the ground for a breakthrough that you might not see coming. Just like with Paul and Silas, your praise can shake the foundations of your problem. It might not be a literal earthquake, but it could be a sudden phone call, a new idea, an unexpected connection, or a change of heart in someone else. So today, I want to encourage you. Whatever closed door you are facing, stop banging on it. Stop trying to figure out the combination to the lock. Instead, take a deep breath and start to praise. Turn on some worship music. Go through the alphabet and thank God for his attributes. He is awesome, bountiful, compassionate, and so on. Recite scriptures that declare his goodness. Your act of praise in the face of a closed door is your greatest act of faith. You might just be surprised to find that while you're praising, God is shaking the foundations and preparing to swing open a door far better than the one you were focused on. Trust him in the process. Thank you so much for watching today. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next video. We love being on this journey of faith with you. See you next time.